Okay. Okay, jumping right in. Okay, just hit the like button. It'll drive the traffic here, brothers and sisters. We're going to jump right in. Uh, yeah. Yeah. AC. You see
Yes,
it?
sir.
It's still going red. I've never experienced anything like this before, but we're back. It started off red, but it's green now, and we'll see if it'll let us go. How long it'll let us go like this? Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay. Tawada.
You're welcome, brother.
All right. Jumping right in. Okay. Part 2. The order. The order or die. Like I've mentioned, where I left off at, brothers and sisters, and of course, I've never seen anything like this where we've been broadcast from YouTube. How long? Okay. How long have we been broadcasting? Now we cannot get through 1 hour without disruptions. And guess what? All of this is telling. That's why, brothers and sisters, as we come closer to this, it's time for us to apply ourselves to this word and begin to come together on the outside of these constructs. They're doing everything to censor those who are telling the truth. Why? You know why? Because of the awakening. They can no longer control us through ignorance. They're planning to shut it down where no one can travel without permission. I'm going to tell you, this is an assault against God throughout the four corners of the earth, living in these high-tech slave quarters. But we're going to fight through this because only thing we're talking about is bringing order, right? And I was given an example of Martin Luther King, how on some level he was dealing with that Melchizedek order where it was a spiritually led spiritual people, moral people who believed in Christ, right? Family first, family oriented scenario where it was about morality more so than anything, more so than us being black. So that we can actually live morally amongst each other, right? But it also had a component politically where all people, black people who were, who were there during the civil rights movement knew, well, okay, they're the enemy. Thank you. They're oppressing us. They're the families. So they say, you know what? We're all on code together for the sake of survival. We're not going to work. Since the system was built off of our labor, if we don't work, the whole world economy stops. Y'all remember that? Because it was led from a unified spiritual front. And if any of us chose to cross the line or side with the enemy, that person stood out like a sore thumb. It was to the degree where even those who didn't agree, who was losing their money and their houses and all that, knew that they couldn't step over the line to break the moral code, understanding what solidarity would mean for us long term. So even those who wanted to break code or break ranks couldn't. Why? Because it was a specific order that meant the self-preservation of our nation, our people. And here now. And the reason why we can't come on code right now, because they have incentivized all that is wrong and given these people high positions in our society, in the entertainment field, in the journalist field, the political field, the religious field, all of the places, all of the areas of influence are controlled by the immoral. Because if they can now, there it is, if they can put people who are immoral in position to fight against us, they'll always have blackmail material to keep, that's right, the perverts and all of them under wraps, under control. So they can do that against people like Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and those who had a spiritual code. Because your conscience will not allow you to go but so far when you're under a spiritual order, which is what? Fearing the God who made us. And some people ask, why am I going here, folks? You know what? I'm tired of the infighting and arguing I see amongst our people. I'm tired at every hand. We're blaming each other, not realizing that this was planned to stop the rise of the children of Israel. Time we try to do something positive, I'm going to tell you right now, folks, every time we try to do something positive, these satanic sentinels who are reared amongst us becomes the chaos that destroys us, that fight against us inwardly. And I was mentioning, folks, other nations have temples. They have temples. East Indians, Arabs, Jewish people. These are not just religious temples, folks. These temples are led with societal and political agendas to protect them against what? Dissidents. Or anyone who would do compromise or try to come against their agendas. They're on code. They're speaking of politics, society, economics. Everything is being spoken of, including the belief in whatever God they serve. And you know what? We don't have that as a people. Martin Luther King and them, yes, they were praising and singing gospels, but they was having political meetings on how society or how the government and all was affecting our people. The same thing with Malcolm X and others. It wasn't just about praising. It was about having a knowledge of the world we're living in and how it affects us. Folks, we have fallen to such depravity that the sexually perverted blacks in our communities have become our vocal and visual leaders. Look at Black Lives Matter. We've fallen to such depravity that we have the immoral who have attacked and destroyed our children incentivized as political leaders now. Look at Black Lives Matter. These are witches, perverts, they're predatorizing little girls. And they have now become our political leaders. And some people ask, well, where's the black man at? We have to fight at every turn just to assume a position. We don't just have to fight the enemy. We have to fight all this they have put in our society to get to the enemy, including they of our own household to certain degrees. As a nation, they've pit us one against another. And anytime we try to do something positive, constructive for our people, chaos shows up. I need you all to look at your screen. Chaos shows up. Look at your screen. Check this out. Check it out. A brother set up a restaurant during a time in which most of our brothers and sisters have been losing their jobs, and said, you know what? Let me establish a business, invested millions of dollars, folks, so that our people will have a place to go to in the midst of a quote unquote pandemic. And said, I'm going to do something positive. I'm going to set up a restaurant that will employ the same black people who are losing their jobs under this pandemic. What happened here? Because people say, well, what about black men? What black men try to do what's right to try to embolden our people one way or the other, try to help us out of this, to be met with chaos. Look at this.
I have money into buying this building, into developing this concept. I invested a lot of money into buying this building, into developing this concept, so black people can have somewhere nice to go to, okay? Somewhere where we can feel good about ourselves as a, because one, stop to hear you, please. I don't want to hear it. If you don't like it, get out, because I don't need your money. I need to provide something for my people, and don't do it again. Thank you.
Now, for the sake of children, and this is a family program, brothers and sisters. In respect of those who are watching this, I didn't show the video that showed in the midst of the restaurant while they were playing music, people sitting down eating in this brother's establishment. This girl gets up, puts her hand on the wall where the glass is while people are eating, and started twerking. I couldn't show that on a church-based platform, you understand? I didn't want to show that. But he stood up and said, "What's wrong with you? I've set a place up so that we can, why can't we show class as people? Why are we all this filth, this dirt? Where is the order anymore, or respect for when a man is trying to do that shows the positive aspect of being a black man who cares for his people? There's no better way of showing how you care than what? Where your treasures are, your heart shall be also. Treasures are, your heart shall be also. So this brother invested money in a time of a pandemic, the same time businesses are being shut down. He opened it up to employ our people who are losing jobs only to be faced with chaos. A woman got up and held her hand on the wall and began to twerk. Now, here's the bigger issue. He's the one that was demonized and through the media for standing up and voicing, you know, here you go, Lawya. And voicing his disdain about this particular behavior. He said, you can get out of here with that. Here it is. We're in a transition now, where the Most High is calling his people to class. And you have segments of our community who just want to stay in the trash. What type of society we have where no one can call out what's wrong anymore? I'm going to tell you. It's chaos. It's out of order. It's because we've left the initial order to govern ourselves righteously. That's where I'm getting at in a nutshell in the midst of all these disturbances with the internet, because I changed computers and I'm still seeing red stuff pop up and all that. Yes, we're being censored here. There's no unified voice to warn our people concerning what's going on in our communities on a weekly basis. And it should be there. The churches was once that. Here you go, Lawya. It's fine. The churches was once that. And now, really, when it comes down to it, platforms like this and other platforms has become what these churches should have continued in after Martin Luther King. And they're censoring this. They're making it where we can't go 10, 15 minutes straight without the internet acting out. Without, but guess what? We're going to be as long as we need to be here because the order is for a few. And we're going to talk about that order. What are we going to do about people like this? Who, when we set something for them, they'll be the one who come through to bring down. And that's why the Christ says many shall betray. Talking about people like that. And I'm going to tell you, man, all due respect, and there's brothers that's off too. Man, how they've incentivized sisters for chaos is beyond control at this point. Because no one can tell them what they're doing is wrong. It's like you don't know that standing up in someone's establishment, twerking while people eating dinner, you don't know that's wrong. But what have gotten them there? What have happened in our society? Can do whatever they want. Without, they are entitled to do what they want and not be corrected. What is it? I was walking, Elder Lawya, I went in the store today, and there was a sister there, and she's looking at me because I have my shield on. White people ain't saying anything. No one is saying anything. And she looks at me. I'm in the store. I had to get some paper towel and stuff for my family. No one is worried about me. Sister looking right at me and saying, and then she looked again. She don't even work at the place. And then she came up to me and say, oh, you got a shield. Oh, I thought you didn't have a mask on. And I was just too spent to even respond back to her. I'm like, who have made you the leader? Who have made the pit bull for society to make sure laws are being executed amongst men, amongst black people? What has happened? They've incentivized all of this chaos. Our people, these women think that it's their job to uphold Babylon and the rules of Babylon. And I just said, sister, I said it just like this, Elder Lawya. I said, sister, YouTube, A Gathering 144. I didn't even respond back and indignant. I'm like, sisters, go to YouTube, A Gathering 144. Shalom, I'll see you later. She looked at me, she seen the shield, and she said, I thought, yeah, you didn't have your mask on, so I thought I would. You're not helping me by telling me to put on a mask. When the CDC tells us that the mask cannot stop the spread of COVID. That everyone after wearing a mask, the mainstream media said now there's more cases and more deaths now than it was in the first phase. That's right. Before we were told to wear masks. Mm-hmm. If the masks were working, how are the numbers up? How is there more deaths now? How is there more of a count if the mask's been working and we've been using these for what? The whole year since March now? Did common sense leave Earth? Or are we just easily controlled to a degree in which something and become a disease in our community and then blame those who want to live and call those who want to live the Anything, Lawya?
Yes, sir, on this,
Go ahead,
this topic.
man.
I mean, this thing can go in so many different ways.
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep it in the frame of the order of Melchizedek. Okay,
yeah.
And keeping things in order. You made a statement earlier as far as when it came to this particular video. And we're just using this as an example. Okay, there's many examples that we can pull from our particular community to show you that without order, we'll continue in the same exact horse and pony show that we've been in ever since we've been in this society, in this country. But nonetheless, you made a statement earlier as far as our people not knowing right from wrong or operating in such a way as if they don't understand right from wrong.
Yeah.
The question is, if this sister, and this is what I ask, our people know right from wrong only in certain environments. Like, you take this same sister and you put her in a different environment. You put her in another restaurant that's probably not owned by a black man. Let's say a Red Lobster, Seasons 52, a Olive Garden, okay? Even maybe a McDonald's perhaps. And you put the same sister in that restaurant, you have to ask yourself, would she take the same course of action in those environments?
Yeah. No.
And the answer is no.
No.
Because I don't know if you know the backstory. That's the brother checked her. That was the second time that he had to check her. He checked her one time and things were fine. He came back the second time, and that's what you see on video. Him actually checking the whole restaurant, because it got to a point, our people, they see somebody dancing and, they start to get into it and cheering them on. He had to check the whole restaurant, because the whole restaurant, when they saw the disorder, got easily led astray into the disorder. Okay? And you wouldn't believe some of the responses and some of the backlash that this brother is getting for checking his sister. I mean, it's ridiculous.
I mean, how is it that he gets the negative pushback? He's saying he shouldn't have said this to this sister who have her hands on the wall and shaking her behind at dinner. And guess what? You know them cats at TNZ and all that were really laughing and cracking up when they seen this, because why? They've created that with Lizzo and what woman named herself Nicki Minaj? Minaj. And what's that other girl from the Dominican? She's simple as the day's old.
Cardi B.
Cardi B. This is what they've done, folks. They've drowned out the righteous with chaos. And no one is standing up. We need to see sisters in droves saying, you know what? No more. No more. No more. No more will you misrepresent who we are through these people. Or is it something in you that agree with it? So, because I'm going to tell you something, folks. I even looked at the voting tally, how even though I voted for Christ, 99% of black women in the United States voted for Biden. Black man was like, well, listen, I'm not going to choose between two criminals. And I'm like, what is it about this Democrat thing? You know what? It's liberalism. Because there's a segment of our society want to accept being incentivized against their men, being socialized where they can get certain things to leverage off against the men. Mm-hmm. But if there wasn't food stamps, if there wasn't free housing, Section 8, then there will be some level of humility when it comes to respect for a man who's bringing home the finances and taking care of the home. So it's still something out there that's saying, you know what? I would rather stand for this liberal society that allowed me to do what I want to do and destroy myself morally because I have a leg up getting all that. There's something to that because it leverages, it gives me leverage. Instead of me sticking it out with a man and building from the beginning and taking pride in what we have, which keep families together. That was an original order we had when we were a nation. When we were a nation. It's out of control. We got witches over Black Lives Matter. Straight evil, straight witches who does dark magic. And we're sitting back just looking at this crap, talking about, yeah, cops are killing black people. No, what's up with these damn witches right here? Mm-hmm. How many people have died because of them? We have misplaced loyalty. There is no order. So what we have to find out now is, what are we willing to do to get on order? Because there's no time. We don't have enough time to build a black Wall Street. That's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. So all these people talk about economic, we got to get on some moral code one amongst each other for the sake of survival and figure out what that is fast. And understand what to do with the people who will be incentivized as betrayers against us. We need to be able to point them out, right out, so that they don't compromise us in a scenario that means life or death for us. We have to be able to point them out. But see, that's where the law comes in at. That's where the Bible comes in at. It's a code. Okay. According to you're not supposed to deal with little boys and little girls and sane people and all that, because there's a spirit that comes with that leads to other sin. So you can tell me you are a good person, but guess what? Your sexual perversions tells us there's something more out there that's wrong with you that could compromise us later. No, I don't care what your ideas are. You stay on the other side. If you are a thief, I mean, we have a society that has a rogue thief running amongst us, just stealing every place he can find. That's black people, talking about a boys' school, and no one is saying anything because there's no moral code according to that order of Melchizedek. I've stolen millions out of the community, and we just sit back and look at it. because there is no order. But there's order in the synagogues, the place that controls our communities, the place that there's order in the Freemason temples. There's orders in the Babylonian Persian temples. When it comes to the East Indians coming over here, you think that they get that dot on their head every Thursday, or when you see them on certain name as the dots on the head of the Catholics and all that? They go to temples. And no one asks them, well, what do you believe? And you know what? They'll come back. We believe in ruling over you. Our discussions is not just the gods we worship. We consolidate and keep power over the children of God. How much you figured out about us and how much more we can economically stack against you. Okay, here it is. All the churches over here. When the other nations come over here, you have a whole thing of Koreans or Chinese people, and they got a Chinese Christian church separate from us, and we're Christians. All the churches over here, you got to come over from China and make your own Christian church. You know why? Because they're discussing more than Jesus in those buildings. They're unified under what? A religious uniformity and a governmental uniformity. And this is what gives all other nations strength over us, power over us, because we cannot be unified. One got to be an Egyptologist. Another has to be a Christian. Another one has to be a Moor. Another one just have to hustle and I'm just here to get by. But we all getting together and saying, well, the white man is the wrong guy and the white man is this, and we can all unify when it comes to Black Lives Matter. I mean, you know what the enemy's looking at it. They was like, man, these black women came out in droves to vote for the one man that's responsible for throwing blacks in. And they came out in droves. Folks, it wouldn't have been white women. White women don't forget anything, folks. You have white women from the 60s talking about what Bill Cosby did to them. And they come out in droves and talk about a racist. I'm not going to deal with this racist, but I'm going to vote the racist in that's solely responsible for me not being able to have a man. Because why? The synagogues and other places, there's constant reminders of where they were compromised by others in the past. They are constantly reminded about the Holocaust and everything else. And on code together, all together, under one order, we would have said, well, hold up. I don't care what Trump is saying. This man already showed he's a racist by throwing black men into prison, called Biden's law, called us beasts, called us animals, and all that. No. Either of them don't fit. And we're not going to move until something is out there since who we are. Because we don't have no unified voice. We're not under an order concerning morality as well as governmental. And if we don't have a structure, we ought to be looked upon as nothing less than animals. That's how the other nations look at us, because they have order. They have order. Elder Lawya, let's get the government. Folks, what brothers and sisters have to understand, that we are a government within ourselves. It's time you understand that. We are the government. And through chaos, the other nations have taken advantage of us and have financially grandized themselves to a degree in which they can continue to prosper over us. But guess what? Hey, don't make no bones about it. We're the soil that grows their prosperity. We are the government. We built this empire. And we're looking for everything on the outside of us without coming back to the original order, to the God who gave us all the gifts they have taken advantage of to build this empire. It should be a code where if you have a priesthood as well as a governmental structure, a kingship, that voice is a singular voice and the people can understand it and say, you know what? We're all standing on code together. The Jews do it. The Chinese do it. We just find ways to come against one another. But time is running out. Time is running out. It's not going to be no time to be telling someone you can't be twerking at dinner. These are the same people that's going to be lined up, getting their shots, and being put down. Because immorality leads to chaos. Chaos is confusion, and confusion is the choices you make.